You're listening to the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast, where Irish fitness entrepreneur Brian Keane answers your questions and interviews leaders in the world of fitness, health, mindset, and natural wellness to share tips about all things that can support you on your journey to becoming the best version of yourself and build a bulletproof mindset to get whatever you want out of life. Come join the fun.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Brian Keane Fitness Podcast. We talk everything fitness, nutrition and mindset to help you with your goals. Firstly, I want to start off by saying a massive Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had an amazing Christmas period. I hope no one's feeling too sick after New Year's Eve last night. It's always a pretty heavy one. Normally a little bit of a letdown on nights out, but the hangover is all the same and normally pretty real. So I hope everyone had an amazing time and now starting to look towards 2018, your New Year resolutions, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve over this next year. But what I'm going to do for today's episode is I'm going to do a little bit more of a reflective one. Keep it nice and easy in terms of not going too heavy into topics today on fitness and health. I'm going to save that for next week's episode, which will be how to kickstart your New Year body, everything you need to do with your training, your supplements, to basically lose any extra excess body fat. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get that next Monday as well, particularly when everyone is back to work, back to school, back to normal routine, and you're back to the gym and getting everything on track after the Christmas. So hopefully that'll help you loads, and we'll save that for next week's episode. So today I'm going to talk on the 6 things that I learned in 2017. So one of the things that I love, I'm one of these weird people that loves when the year passes. I love when my birthday comes and I reflect on what I've learned over the last year. I'm probably one of those weird people that enjoys getting older because I'm aware wisdom comes with age and I always know way more every single year. And over this past year, there's been 6 things that I've really honed in on, that I've really learned, that I'm going to talk about in this episode. I'm going to flesh out and expand on, in the hopes that some of it lands and provides you with a load of value for either reflecting on your own year or going forward, what you're going to do in 2018. So we'll kick this episode off. So the first thing I learned in 2017 is that self-awareness is more important than any skill or knowledge that you can learn. And I'm going to flesh that out a small bit because I didn't fully understand what self-awareness meant over probably prior to 2017, the last year. And all self-awareness is knowing yourself and the things that you want to achieve, the things that you like, and then not basically being a carbon copy of other people just because it looks good what they're doing. And I'm going to use a couple of examples that made it stand out for me over the last year, because for those of you on the podcast a while and listening to prior episodes, one of my brain tattoos that I've basically tattooed onto my brain is comparison is the thief of joy. And it's effectively a Theodore Roosevelt quote where he talks about when you compare yourself with other people, you'll lose any happiness or joy that you have in that moment. And I've been a victim of this in the past massively, where I'd be having a great day, I'd feel really, really good about what I'd achieved, and then I would go on to Instagram and I would see a guy that was bigger than me, particularly when I used to be competing, or I'd see a girl that I was attracted to that I thought I'd never have a chance of getting, particularly when I was younger, and I had a lot of self-confidence issues. And all of these comparisons were off the back of, well, I want to have what that person has. It was putting my happiness into an external thing. And what I've learned over the last year through a lot of self-awareness and a bit of self-reflection is that it's not about what looks good from the outside. It's asking yourself the question, what's important to you and what does success look like to you? And then building your life around that. And I've been a victim of this even in 2016 in the last year, 2017 in the last year. I've been a victim of this where I would see somebody else that was striving higher than me in business or whatever area of their relationship was stronger with a partner, and I would question, well, why don't I have that? And the truth is, I didn't necessarily want it. One of the things that I live my life by is there's an opportunity cost for every thought that we have. An opportunity cost is an economics term that you can have one thing, but it means that you have that one thing instead of something else. In a shop setting, it's if you go in and buy a can of Coke, it means that you can't buy a can of Diet 7-Up if you have only €1 to spend. It's an opportunity cost. And we have an opportunity cost of thought. So every thought you put into your head, and when you're thinking about building your business, it's one thought, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour that you're not thinking about being in a stronger relationship. You're not thinking about building your body or building your physique. And when you understand that self-awareness, that where you give focus, I love the mantra that where focus goes, energy flows. And whatever it is that you focus on, that's where your energy is going to go. And self-awareness is just understanding the things that are the most important to you, not because your mom said it was important, or your dad said it was important, or your friends or society said it was important. Like, the example that I always use is when I was 22, 23, success to me meant big house, attractive girlfriend, fancy car, well-paid job. That's what success meant for me at 22, 23. That's what I thought it meant. Where when I got older, and not even so much as I got older, it was more with the self-awareness that came. That's not what success means to me now. And I'm very, very fortunate that I have the things that I have, the investments that I've made. So I have the car, I have the house, I have all of these things. I'm very, very fortunate and grateful for the opportunities that I've had. But they're not the things that determine success for me. Success is being able to take an hour off in the middle of the day to go play with my daughter. Success is being able to take weekends off and be all in so I can spend time with my mum and my daughter, who are the closest people in my life. That's what success looks like for me. Financial success is never having to worry about paying my mortgage, never having to worry about paying my bills, which again, I'm in a position that for the foreseeable future, that's never going to be an issue again, as long as I make clever decisions and don't do anything drastic or stupid over the next few years. And that all spawned out of the fact that I went broke when I tried to start a personal training business first. I had to go through my couch in London trying to get money for the bus because my bank balance was at 000. So my version of success looks different for me now, and that's self-awareness. So you got to ask yourself the question, what is it that's important to you, and what does success look like for you? Because you may find when you start to think it's the attractive partner, or the nice car, or the big house, or the great body, the six-pack abs, the bigger arms, the bigger bum, the flatter stomach, when you start to pull it back and you start asking the question more, you start to realize that maybe that's not what's really driving you. You know, if you ask yourself, well, I want to drop 3 dress sizes, or I want to get six-pack abs, you may ask yourself, they say ask yourself a question 3 times and you'll find the true answer. You know, why do you want to get a six-pack? Well, I want to feel better about myself. Why do you want to feel better about yourself? Because I want to have more confidence so that I can approach a girl that I like. Why do you want to go and approach a girl that you like? Because I want to be in a relationship. Why do you want to be in a relationship? Because I'm lonely and I feel that if I had somebody that I could spend time with, I would be a happier version of me. You start pulling things back and asking the questions, and this goes for everything. The same thing goes for your money, your finances, it goes for your business, it goes for your relationships, it goes for your body, everything. Ask yourself those questions until you get to the root cause. That's self-awareness. It may not be just as it seems on the surface. You got to dig deeper into what's driving it. Because if you want to get a six-pack or drop dress sizes because you're lonely and want a partner, or you just love to have somebody you could spend more time with, you may not need to drop those dress sizes. You may not need to get that six-pack ab. You may just need to go towards and hang around and surround yourself with people who are like-minded, and you can connect with those people on that level. So as somebody that makes their living in the fitness industry and transforming bodies and transforming people's compositions so they feel more confident, I'm telling you, that may not be the thing that gives you the answer. It may not be the key to whatever it is that's making you feel unhappy with your life. And that comes down to being self-aware of what's driving your decisions, because every decision that you make, there's something external or something internal that's driving that decision. And self-awareness is more important than any knowledge, because you can read books, you can consume information, and you can build knowledge and not build a self-awareness. You can build skills, you can go back to college, you can start learning new talents, and you still may not get that self-awareness, because when you know what it is that's important to you, and you know what success means for you and what are the things that make you happy, it may not be what makes your friend happy, it may not be what makes your family happy, it may not be what the closest person in your life, what makes them happy. Find what it is that's important to you, and then have the self-awareness to ask the question 3 or 4 times to figure out what's driving it, and then go and get it. The next one is one. If anyone that's been listening to the podcast for the last year or so, as we approach 1 million downloads now, you would have heard me say one of my favorite quotes that comes from Buddha, which is, if you can't be happy on the journey, how can you be happy at the destination? And what I've learned over the last year that's really been hardwired into me is that process is everything. And if you are following a nutritional plan or a diet that you absolutely hate in the hopes that it's going to make you leaner or make you bigger or make you skinnier or whatever it is that your end goal is, and you absolutely hate everything you're eating and your energy levels are terrible and you just don't feel good, you're not going to stick to that long term. Because when you get the process right and when you find a nutritional plan, for example, foods that you enjoy that fit into your lifestyle and schedule that are all working towards your end goal, you are going to end up getting the body composition or the physique that you want by the process, and you're going to be able to hold on to it and keep it long term. This was something that I've only been able to basically bring into conscious thought in the last year, because when I was reflecting and building that self-awareness on what was important to me, it made me realize that one of the reasons that I've been able to stay in shape, and I'll use myself because you're your own best example, one of the reasons that I've been able to stay in shape the last few years is process. The way that I look now is a byproduct of the way that I live. It's something that I try and work with a lot of people that come through my programs, even though it shows up differently for each person. But the way that my body, I walk around about 10% body fat, around 85 kilos, and that's where my body's happy to be. But it's down to a process of the foods that I eat, the training systems that I do, and having the knowledge of what works for my body. And when I was able to step away from that and stand out and realize that, well, why is it that I find it pretty easy, that it doesn't need any conscious thought for me to stay in shape anymore? I've been lifting weights for 17 years. I've been eating well just as long and honing it over the last few years. You know, they say your mess becomes your message, and a lot of the content I put out, the podcast, the videos, my best-selling book, The Fitness Mindset, a lot of the nutrition and fitness mistakes I made are what I share on those platforms, and these platforms, because I made those mistakes, and it just cuts your learning curve learning from me. You know, you don't have to learn from your mistakes. You can learn from the mistakes of other people. And right now, it takes no conscious thought. I spoke earlier in part 1 that there's an opportunity cost of thought. So every second that I don't spend thinking about the foods that I eat or the training systems that I do, which I do very instinctively now, it's one more thought that I can have towards helping someone on a program, helping expand my business so I can serve more people, helping being a better dad or a better son for my mum and my daughter. It's opportunity thought of a cost of thought. So when you learn about process and things become automatic, I spoke in my book in the mindset section that making the right automatic choice, which is effectively the habits that you do every single day, that's process. When you're automatically going out to Tesco or Dunnes or Sainsbury's or Costco and you're choosing foods that are healthy and working to support your body composition, your end goal, that becomes automatic and you're not thinking about it anymore, which means that you're on the step to process. And again, it shows up differently for each person. Some people need a coach for that. Some people need to come through a program for that. Some people will get it themselves through trial and error. But understanding that if you're not happy on the journey, you're not going to be happy at the destination. You will get that dopamine initial hit of serotonin and dopamine that you'll feel great when you drop your dress sizes, or you get your six-pack, or you get your new job, or you get your new car, or you get the new house that you've been striving for. But we have what's called the hedonic adaptation. It's where our happiness level returns back to baseline. It's when they've done studies with people that have won the lottery, they're ecstatic the day they interview them with the ticket, and then 6 months later they interview them and they've gone back to baseline of how they felt before. That's hedonic adaptation. That's when you've done something and grinded for something just to get the end result and not falling in love with the process or the journey on the way. When you want long-term success for your body composition, your business, your relationships, whatever it is in your life that you're trying to strive and achieve for, it's understanding that process is absolutely everything. And I'll use myself to kind of close up this bit, that people will regularly say to me how I put out so much content. That, like, I put out 2 podcasts a week, 3-4 videos a week. I do Snapchat Q&As and Instagram lives nearly every day. I'm working with clients coming through my programs. I'm meeting people for business consultations. That's process, because for me it's not work, because it's the things I would do for free. I love working with the people coming through my programs. I love doing the Snapchat Q&As. I love recording the podcasts. That's process. So when from the outside it seems like a lot of work and quote unquote a lot of things that's going out, it's down to loving what I do. It's the same with training. When you fall in love with certain training styles, that's why I say to people that love to run, build your training program around running. You know, it's why I say if you love eating vegetables and you love fish and you hate meat, then build your nutritional plan around fish and vegetables. That's what's going to, if you enjoy that, that's what you're going to be able to stick to long term. But if you're not, you got to use the self-awareness and ask yourself the question, why am I not happy with what I'm doing? And again, I'm not talking the 100% happy and feeling great all the time, but if your answer, I work off the Pareto principle, 80-20, that 20% of our effort gets us 80% of our results. And if you're consistently at 80% unhappy or not feeling good about what you're doing, you're not enjoying the process. You're going to have that 20% where you're always going to feel a little bit down. Your energy is not going to be that high. But if that's 80%, you've got to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate, why isn't this working? Why isn't this nutritional plan working? Why isn't this training program working? Why isn't this relationship working? You got to ask yourself those questions. Ask it 3 times and you'll find that answer. The next thing that I've learned, and I've been very, very, very fortunate, and I'm so grateful that I have been able to probably build and scale my business and life up over the last 12 months. But it's made me realize that success is super subjective depending on who you talk to. As I spoke earlier, that for me, I thought the nice car, the big house, the pretty girlfriend, all these silly external things were what success looked like to me at 23, 24. And as I've been fortunate enough to make the investments that I've made, to have the business that I have and the network that I have, it makes me realize more and more that success is so subjective. The things for me, like becoming a best-selling author this year, the thousands and thousands of copies of The Fitness Mindset, and a massive thank you to everybody who's bought that book, who's passed it on. It has over 356 5-star reviews on Amazon and Goodreads, which is incredible. The podcast approaching 1 million downloads, the business helping and serving the thousands of people that came through in the last year. It's been incredible, and what to me at one stage looked like success. And it's funny because I was one of these people that would always put my success into a number. So when I hit this number each month, I'd be successful. When I built my Instagram to this number, I'd be successful. When I, scored this many points or goals when I was playing sport, that's when I'd be successful. And it made me realize that when you put your success into numbers, numbers never end. So you're constantly striving, and what happens, and this is what happened to me, and it's one of these things that if you're working to a number, so your body fat percentage, your weight on a scale, your number that you're earning at work, whatever it is for you, knowing that what generally happens when you hit that number is the bar moves and then your expectation moves. And I'm somebody that did that when I hit my financial targets in 2016. I didn't feel any different. I felt the exact same. And I've been striving for these numbers all through. When I hit my body fat percentage when I was competing, I was striving for that sub 5% body fat, and when I hit it, I felt the exact same. Again, there's a little bit of pride and ego that comes with hitting the number, and there is confidence that comes with saying you're going to hit a target and then hitting it. But the truth is, my happiness, the way that I felt in general, just went back to baseline. It was the hedonic adaptation. It went back to a baseline after I hit that number. And what's worse is the bar moved, because when you hit your number on a scale, you hit your 60 kilos or you hit your 80 kilos, whether it's going up or down, and then you get there, you now want to be 85 kilos, or you want to be 55 kilos if you're losing weight. What happens is the bar moves, and understanding that that success, I'm putting it into a number, is so subjective, and when you hit it, your bar is going to move. So when you constantly strive, and they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. I was fortunate that I didn't have to hit a certain financial target to realize that, right, I don't have to make 10 million because I'm going to feel the exact same now. And it makes you realize that it's things like impact, helping people, serving people. How can I transform and give confidence to as many people that I work with, transform their composition, improve their performance for my GA players? That's the thing that's success for me now, because it made me realize that that gave me more satisfaction and joy. One of the mantras that I live by is happiness comes from when what you have to offer the world merges with what the world needs. It doesn't come from a financial target. It doesn't come from a number on a scale. It doesn't come from the body fat percentage on your body. So understanding that when you hit a certain number, your bar is going to move. And if you constantly do that and you consistently fall into that trap and do it again and again and again, that's the definition of insanity. So as they say, Brandon Mull, the smart people learn from the mistakes, the sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others. Learn from my mistake that when you hit those numbers, it's just going to move the bar even more. So if you're putting your happiness and you're putting your joy and you're putting all the things that make you feel good about yourself into an external thing like a number, that bar is going to move when you hit it. And try not to make your entire feeling of fulfillment based off of hitting a number. The next thing that I learned was something that was really starting to come into the forefront of my mind at the end of 2016. I spoke at a seminar in December of 2016 that two of the things that dramatically changed the trajectory of my life was getting up earlier. So every morning I get up now at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and reading more books, particularly audiobooks, because of the way that I consume information. I get through 2 or 3 books a week, normally 2 audiobooks and a physical book. Normally my eyes are tired from looking at the screen all day, from doing the different things that I do, so I consume audio. Understanding your learning type is very, very important. For those of you who don't know my background, I was a primary school teacher for 4 years, so there was a lot. I have a third of a master's done in pedagogy, and there was a module in there about learning styles and understanding what way you consume information better and retain it better. For me, it's audio. So the 3 styles mainly are visual, audio, and kinesthetics. So working with your hands, musicians, athletes. But audio, I tend to retain more information. So I'm way more of an audio learner than even visual. So knowing your learning style is very, very important. But the thing that I've learned over the last year that's really honed in, like every week and every month in 2017, was that knowledge is just filling the gaps between what you don't know, or the things you don't know and the things you don't know. So I spoke in my book, The Fitness Mindset, that I use podcasts, I use audiobooks, I use physical books, I use seminars, conferences to bridge the gap between the things that I don't know and the things that I just don't know. If you don't know something, you can look it up and you can go on to Google, or you can get a book, or you can go to a course and you can find out. The things that kill you are the things you don't know. When I was trying to grow my business first and I couldn't hit that serving more than 50 people a month, when I couldn't get that number up, there was things there that I didn't know. One of my mentors used to say to me that the key to success is, for a successful business, is scaling the unscalable. So what my end goal is in my business is, even though there's more than 100 people a month coming through the programs, my goal for everyone that comes through is to think they're the only person coming through. That's scaling the unscalable, because of the feedback you get from me, the check-ins with my coach Emma, the constant the videos that are all guided towards what you're doing. I want people to come through a program and think that they're the only one coming through it. That's scaling the unscalable. And for me, it was bridging the gap between the things I didn't know. I didn't understand how to facilitate the check-ins 9-10 months ago, so that you were able to make sure everybody was on track and progressing and checking in every week, so that you were nipping small problems and early, which, if you understand the compound effect, which is where things massively compound over time, like a snowball that starts as a small ball rolling down a hill becomes giant by the time it hits the bottom of the mountain or bottom of the hill. When you nip problems early on, they don't grow, they don't get any bigger. So if somebody's not sleeping on week 1 in a program, it's going to affect, if they don't nip that and we don't fix that on week 1 and get right for week 2, that's going to compound into week 6, which will compound into phase 2, into the 90 days if you're on phase 2. And you're not going to be at your maximum from recovery in terms of building muscle or losing body fat or improving performance if you're not sleeping. And what I learned was, by consuming, particularly, I went to the Tony Robbins Business Mastery in Amsterdam earlier in the year. I've read probably 50 or 60 business books over the last year, and it's bridged that gap onto how to help people and serve them more, so that you're nipping problems early. And what I learned in 2017 and towards the end of 2016 is that all of it can be learned. everything with the exceptions of some genetic talents that you have. And I'll use myself because you're your own best example. I'm quite a good public speaker. I came from a marketing background, and I was obviously a primary school teacher before I set up my own business. And speaking is something that I feel very, very comfortable with. I feel very, very comfortable breaking down complex ideas and making them into more simpler form so that they're more consumable for people to understand. Everything outside of that, I learned. How to run a business, how to be better in relationships with people so that I can communicate ideas better when I'm trying to go to have conversations that I don't feel comfortable having, and leaning into conflict where there's conflict avoidance and I'm avoiding it, and just being a little boy or being a little girl around avoiding certain conflicts that I didn't want to go into. I learned how to handle that. Understanding how to build my body, how to eat right, how to improve my energy levels, how to improve my sleep, how to fix my irritable bowel syndrome and my stomach problems. All of it is learned through books, through courses, through seminars, and understanding that everything that you don't know right now, you can learn. With the exception of a couple of genetic abilities that people will have, where you may be an amazing public speaker, you may be amazing retaining information, you may be incredible at working with your hands. These genetic talents, everything outside of that you can learn. So if you want to build a business where you leave your job and start your own thing, or you want to be better at relationships so you can be a better boyfriend, girlfriend, husband or wife, or you want to be a better brother, or you want to be a better son or daughter for whoever it is that your mother or father, whatever it is that you want to achieve, you can learn it because it's in books. All life's problems have been written down. They're out there somewhere. You just got to go find it, either through books, through audio, through podcasts, through different TV shows. It's not the TV that's bad, it's the medium of the channels that you're consuming. Things that are going to help you become a better version of you, consuming that information and understanding that the people that have built these amazing things in the world, your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, your Elon Musk, your Jeff Bezos of Amazon, people who have built incredible things that have changed the world, are no smarter than you or me. They've just consumed more information, they've been focused on their end goal, and they've done the work that they needed to do. They've hustled and grinded, and they put in the hours, the 10,000 hours to become a master of something. They've put in the hours, and they've done it by consuming the right information. And whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, big, small, or indifferent, it's irrelevant. Whatever it is that you want to be in, whatever the strongest version of you looks like, you can learn and you can find out how to become that person if you make the choice then decide that that's what you want to do. Okay, and the last thing then is, don't confuse movement with progress. And this has been probably the biggest thing I've learned in 2017. It's why I saved it for the last one. Like, you can work harder but get less done if your ladder isn't against the right wall. And one of the analogies that I use in my book, and I use this because it serves me every single day, you're better being at the bottom of the ladder against the right wall than being halfway up the ladder against the wrong wall. And the example that I use was when I was working full-time as a primary school teacher, and I loved my job, I loved my kids, I loved my school, I loved the parents, but particularly the last school I was in West London. And I was climbing that ladder to becoming a head teacher, a principal, running that school over a period of time if I had so chosen to go that path. But it was the ladder against the wrong wall. When I went into fitness, and I've spoken on other podcasts in the past, 4 years ago when I moved back to Ireland, I moved in with my mum and dad. I had to go on social welfare. I had to get my keys of my sister's little Yaris. She was living in Newcastle, so she let me have her car, and I would drive in and out, an hour in and out every day into a gym where I was trying to build up a personal training business. But the ladder was against the bottom of the right wall. I was in the industry and in the field that I wanted to be in. The job I would have done for free, working in a gym, working in fitness. It's what I wanted to do, and it's what I wanted to be for as long as I can remember. And when I was at the bottom of the ladder against the right wall, all the work you put in gets you to the top faster. When your ladder is against the right wall, and people will say you need to hustle and grind and work, and work harder and work faster, and that's all well and good, and I do believe that hard work will bring you to the place you want to be. But if your ladder is against the wrong wall, it's just going to get you to the top of the wrong ladder faster. So it's very, very important to understand what it is that's important for you. And you can break this up into all areas of your life. You can break this into your fitness, into your relationship, into your business. where does your ladder need to be? Because we get movement confused with progress at times, where we think that because we're busy and we're doing things all the time that we're progressing, and you may be progressing in one area, but if it's not where you want to be, it's not the relationship you want to be in, it's not the job you want to be in, it's not the body composition you want to have, then you're just moving to the wrong direction. You're getting to the wrong place faster. And what is very, very important to probably take away from this one, and I'm speaking to myself more than anybody, is the difference between being busy and being productive, because they're not the same thing. And over the last year, 2017, particularly the first 6 months of the year, when the book came out first and the different programs I had designed and working and scaling that level of my life up, I was super busy all the time. So I was running around, and every time I would talk to somebody, they're like, how's everything? I'm like, oh, it's brilliant, so busy, super busy. And I realized, again, coming back to that self-awareness, that a lot of it was a little bit of an ego kick, in terms of I wanted to feel important, and I was busy. I was running around all day, and I was doing things, and then the end of the day would come, and I'm like, I've got nothing fucking done. And when that started to happen, and again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And as this happened day after day, and the end of the day would come, and I realized I have none of my most important tasks done, I realized that I was being busy. I was being a busy fool. I wasn't being productive, because there's a massive difference. So one of the things that really helped me was Gary Kelleher's book, The One Thing, where he speaks about that if you base your day around that one thing that you need to get done, that if you get it done, the whole day will be a success, or it'll make everything else you need to do irrelevant. I started basing my day around my one thing. So now when I get up in the morning, the night before I go to bed, I've written down whatever my one thing is. That may be a podcast, that may be a consultation, that may be check-ins with clients, that may be a video for a group I'm working on. Whatever that is, that one thing gets done. And until that's done, nothing else takes priority. So you've got to have that there, with the exception of different life things. My daughter and my mum always come before work. But in terms of my work life, that needs to get done before anything else does, because that's being productive. That's the one thing you need to get done. And sometimes, and I'm only saying this as someone that can recognize it in myself, and the reason I spot it in other people is because I did this, where I had one thing, and we really know what it is we have to do. We normally put it off because it's hard, or it takes a lot of cognitive efforts to do it, and we have to think a lot, and we'll end up doing everything else. We'll end up cleaning the house, cleaning our bedroom, cleaning the station at work, going on Facebook, going on Twitter, going on Snapchat, and we'll end up avoiding it by doing something else. And then the end of the day will come and that task still isn't done. So that's movement. So you're not progressing, you're moving, you're getting something done, it's just not being productive. And one of the things, and this is probably one of my resolutions for the entire year that I've been quite good at sticking to over the last couple of months, is I don't do busy anymore. There's days when I will be busy and I'll be running from A to B and C to D, but now I work for productivity. If I catch myself working and being a busy fool, I'll stop, pause and reflect and go, right, I'm being a busy fool now, so either I stop the task completely and I go hang out with friends, or I go to the gym, or I go spend time with my daughter, or I go do something else, or I switch in and go, right, we need to be productive now. So no more busy versus productivity. Because when you make the decision, and this is, for me, I'm using business as a reference point, but it's the same in everything. It's the same with your partner, with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You know, you can be in a room with somebody and not connect with them for the entire evening because you're monging out to TV. You're not having a conversation with them. That's not investing the time and energy and effort to enhance that relationship. Again, I'm speaking as someone that's done this. This is exactly why I can recognize it in people. It may be a case that your fitness, you're being busy in the gym, you're on the cross trainer for 45 minutes, but you're probably needed to do some resistance training to tear fibers down and do some high intensity interval training to get your heart rate up. You're being busy, you're moving, but you're not being productive. And the way to look at that is ask yourself at the end of the day, are you responding? Are you closer today to what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to hit, whatever goals they are? Or are you further away? Are you the same? Because if you're the same, by process of time moving by, you're further back. I love the Charlie Munger quote that step by step we get ahead, not necessarily in fast spurts, and try and go to bed wiser, a little bit wiser every single night. If you go to bed every single night being a little bit closer to that body composition you want, or that job that you want, or that relationship you want, because you consumed the right information that day, or you did the workout that day, or you ate the right foods that day, then when you add that up, and that becomes process, and when you add all of that up over a week, over a month, over a year, and you use the compound effect, that snowball effect of doing the right things 80%, 90% of the time, day after day, you hit that end goal. And as I spoke as process, when you're happy on the journey, you'll be happy at the destination. When you're doing the right things every single day and you're being productive, and it's not just being busy, and you're not confusing movement with progress, it makes it so much easier to hit the target that you're trying to hit. And once you know what that is, you can't hit a target you can't see. And once you know what that end goal is in all areas of your life, and I spoke in other podcasts how I break my life into health, wealth, love, and fulfillment into those 4 quadrants, and then I rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 every month or every quarter, and then I reevaluate on how my life is going. That podcast is probably 30 episodes ago for anyone that wants to listen to it. And once it's moving in the right direction, I know I'm progressing. If it's not, and I haven't used the self-awareness to look back and realize that I'm actually worse off now than I was a month ago, 6 months ago, I haven't been doing the right things day after day. That's self-awareness, that's tying in with process, that's tying in with consuming the right information, and that's tying in with making sure you're being productive and moving in the right direction, as opposed to just being busy and spending time or wasting time instead of getting better and closer to the end goal. Okay, so they're the top things that I learned in 2017. I learned a lot over this last year. I've had a tremendous year with the book, the podcast, the business, the way it's gone, some of the relationships and people that I've met. Very, very grateful for everybody that I've spoken with, that I've met at seminars, that have came up to me on the street for a selfie, and all these incredible things that I'm so grateful that I get to do and get to experience. It's really shot up in the last year, probably more so than I even dreamed or thought of myself. And I'm really looking forward to what 2018 has to bring. And I hope from listening to today's episode you got a lot of value, whether it was just to help you reflect on how your year went in all areas of your life, or some nuggets in there that may be applicable to you going forward. I hope you got a lot of value from it. If you did, be sure to hit me up on DM on Instagram and Snapchat. I try and get back to as many as I can. I know the last few lifestyle episodes there's been a lot of DMs, so I haven't got everyone, but when I'm on planes and I'm on buses and I'm on trains, I literally just go through my Instagram DMs, trying to clear those out and get back to everybody, particularly anyone that's messaging about programs and stuff, but particularly anybody that is messaging about the podcast and how it impacted or helped, and any feedback they have on it. So that's what I spend my spare time doing effectively. So again, hope you got a lot of value from today's episode. So that's everything from today. I hope that helped with anyone that's working on a 2018 hangover from yesterday or from last night. And hopefully it'll help moving forward for whenever you are listening to this, if it's just a few days later after it comes out on the Monday. And for more information on me or my programs, my Top 50 New Year's program and my GA Lean Body program, you can go to the website www.briankeenfitness.com. My Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram is all Brian Keane Fitness. My Snapchat's BrianK019. And thank you all so much again for listening. Happy New Year. Catch you all soon.